By how good our contributors are and how good a job William & Mary does preparing them, because every year we get submissions from colleges all around the country and all around the world, and yet the majority of our authors selected through a double-blind process end up being William & Mary students. So we really do a very good job at preparing students to publish here at the school. I do want to introduce our staff. We have a mix of old and new here. If you're coming in fresh this year, raise your hand. Yeah, got some lovely people who don't quite know what they signed up for. We've had a fantastic team this past year. They've put together 2 wonderful issues, one of which has been printed and one of which y'all won't get to see quite yet, coming very soon. And I'm incredibly proud of the work and dedication that they've put into this. Let's actually, I'll just give them a So yeah, I'll bother you more later, but that's it for now.
Would you like them to introduce themselves individually?
Oh, sure. Actually, yeah, if you could just go around and say your name and your position.
Hi, I'm Grace Kyer. I am a freshman and I am currently the secretary on the exec board, and next year I'll be the managing editor.
My name's Jack Shangrao. I'm a freshman as well. I'm currently a junior copy editor. Next year I'll be a senior copy editor.
I'm Elizabeth Sutherland. I'm currently an associate editor, and next year I will be the director of public relations.
I'm Chris Gunman. I was the director of operations this year.
I'm Matt Rebar. I'm a senior and I'm just an editor.
I'm Carolyn. I'm a senior. I was the copy editor this year and I'm graduating, so I'm not having those.
I'm Caroline Nutter. I'm a sophomore. I was just a reviewer this past year, and I will be taking Carolyn's place as one of the copy editors next year.
And I'm not on the board.
And I'm a senior.
She's published in this latest issue.
Very good. Anyone else? That's the group. Somehow we've managed to separate the room. But we're really thrilled that you guys could all come. And we are also very, very proud of the Monitor and the amazing work that comes out of it every year. And so in honor of that work, every year we do give prizes. And prizes are always a good thing this time of year. So it is my great joy to introduce the award of the Haynes Hankinson Prize. And that is named after the 2 founders of the Monitor who lived here in the Reeves Hall when this was a dorm. It still is a dorm, but at that point it was really all the international studies students who lived in this building, if you can imagine. It's a sign of our success that now they live all over campus because you could never fit them all in one building. But the Monitor was a labor of love by some of those early students, and in particular both Denzel and Lucas, who put their heart and soul into it. And I can tell you they're very, very proud of what it's accomplished, and they're grateful to all of you for keeping that legacy going, as are we. So in honor of the Haynes Hankinson effort to found the Monitor, we have the Haynes Hankinson Prize. And this year the winner is Taylor Brooks. You'll notice there's a little more about Taylor Brooks later, because I guess I might as well let the cat out of the bag. She has won 2 awards this year. Her article was really independently, as you said before, reviewed by different sources, and we all thought it was truly outstanding. Taylor is on study abroad in Spain, I believe, at the moment, so we can't get too upset when our students don't show up for the award ceremony because they are on study abroad. Here at the Reeves Center, we encourage that sort of thing. But I do want to tell you just a little bit about this essay. It is an essay about China's policy toward the South China Sea, and a very interesting argument that most of the drivers of China's policy toward the region are domestic rather than international, not so much in response to, say, Obama administration policies on the so-called pivot to Asia, but driven, in her view, primarily by 2 factors in particular, economics and nationalism. And she sees them as dovetailing very much in China's policy toward the region. From an economic point of view, you have a regime that's built, its legitimacy is built on economic success. It's very clear that the Chinese Communist Party has made it part of its claim to legitimate rule that China's economy continues to expand so rapidly. And of course the South China Sea is not only rich in natural resources itself, but the key point for global trade. A lot of the world's trade goes through that region. So a claim of more sort of strong assertion, let's say, of China's claims is very consistent with that. In addition, national identity plays in, because another form of legitimacy that the Chinese Communist Party promotes is the idea that it's the heir to the great legacy of Chinese imperial glory and greatness. And so the notion that the South China Sea is somehow historically connected to that legacy plays well in the Chinese public audience. And so she said the two really dovetail. So the South China Sea, that may look not so logical from the perspective of an outsider, seems to be the place where the economic legitimacy and the nationalist legitimacy come together in a way that's very consensual in China itself. I have to say that the implications from a policy perspective are a little daunting, because it would imply you're going against both economic interest and Chinese national identity if you try to counter those claims. But that wasn't in the paper, that was just my editorial remark.
You're going to send that paper to H.R. McMaster? Because so far my arguments to that effect have fallen on deaf ears.
I'll call HR after this meeting. I'll send the paper up. But it's really Taylor who deserves the credit. So just really a joy to read, and I think it's a very worthy recipient of this award. And I think although we're doing this twice, let's go ahead and have a round of applause for our In Absentia. She can feel it somehow. And now I get to introduce the wonderful Frank Schatz, who is right here. Frank will say a few words also about Taylor's paper, which is also the winner of the annual Schatz Prize. But before he says that, I want to tell you, if you haven't met him, have you met Frank? Probably not all. So Frank is a legend here in Williamsburg, and many reasons for that. One is, bless you, he is the author of the World Focus column in the Virginia Gazette. You may know the Virginia Gazette is the oldest continuously surviving newspaper in the United States. And that column comes out twice a week still, isn't it? Or is it just once? Yeah. It's twice still. And it's absolutely fascinating world tour every time you read it. Frank also has written a wonderful book, which is called Reports from a Distant Place. It's about his life story. He is a Holocaust survivor who also battled the communist takeover of Central and Eastern Europe when he, after World War II was over, managed, along with his beloved wife Yarka, to get out and come over to the US. But ever since, he's been involved in international diplomacy. He was very active in Olympics, particularly the late Placid Winter Olympics, and worked hard to bridge misunderstandings between the United States and the Soviet Union at the end of the Cold War. And he's also the reason we have a Reeves Center for International Studies, because it was his friendship with the man you see in that poster there, poster's not quite the word, that beautiful artwork, Emery Reeves, which led Emery and his wife Wendy to ultimately make the decision to invest in William & Mary as a place for international studies. So we owe Frank everything, actually. No way to summarize, but I would take the whole Monitor reception over if I just kept talking. So again, let's welcome Frank to the reception.
Thank you so much. It's a great honor to be among young people who are so accomplished. It's very hard to find such a group of people anywhere. And having read so many of those Monitor essays, I am just amazed and very, very pleased that I ever brought Wendy Reeves to the Reeves Center, so I never need to eat crowd because I brought her here. He will be very proud, and I suppose she is up there. So what I would like to say is that year after year, the quality of the essays submitted for publication in the Monitor remained extraordinarily high. It testifies of the intellectual vigor, hard work at research, and the writing ability of the authors. This year, just as in the past, I lament that I am permitted to select only one prize winner. There have been several essays in each issue that deserves the top prize. Alas, I have to make a hard decision to select only one. My choice this year is Taylor Brooks securing a communist regime by claiming the South China Sea. It is the product of not just rigorous research, but also the ability to project the reality how Chinese domestic politics and its actions abroad are intervened. Essay like this makes the Monitor such an outstanding journal. So again, thank you all for putting all this work into it, and the best of luck to you.
I should read this about Taylor, by the way. Taylor Brooks is a sophomore from Winchester, Virginia, with a self-designed major in international development and a minor in Hispanic studies, which makes the achievement writing about China even more interesting. She is most passionate about Spanish and girls' education in developing countries, so after she graduates, she would like to spend a year teaching English abroad, then possibly work for a nonprofit organization specializing in women's rights or education in Latin America. At William & Mary, Taylor is involved with She's the First, a club that raises money for girls' education in low-income countries, Tribe Ambassadors, a social sorority with Kappa Alpha Theta, and beginning this summer, Literacy for Life, where she will teach ESL classes. So really a woman very much in the William & Mary tradition, devoted to public service, to global outreach, and intellectual achievement. She does get a couple of prizes here, which I think Mitchell, you're going to accept them on behalf of Taylor. So I'll present them to you, and if you'd like to say anything about your work.
Yes, Taylor did send me a statement to read in her absence. That is not my problem.
Why don't you read that first, and then we'll take a picture with us. It seems a little awkward.
From Taylor. I wish I could be at William & Mary to accept these awards and express my gratitude in person. As someone who has never before won an award for research or writing, I am incredibly honored to be recognized today. I would like to sincerely thank Mr. Schatz and the Monitor Editorial Board for acknowledging my work, and Professor Amy Oakes for literally everything, but especially her ability to listen to students' ideas and opinions when they're all over the place and help conceptualize them. Just ask her, she'll tell you that for some reason she truly loves to make outlines. This article began as the final assignment for Professor Oakes' class on interdisciplinary perspectives in international relations, a core class for all IR majors. However, I am no longer an IR major. Professor Oakes helped me realize that I didn't have to fit into a box, one which I had chosen for myself, and that I could design a major that would allow me to learn about what most interests me, which is global development. The article that I'm being recognized for today, deals much more with international security and politics than development. While it is therefore not a topic that I am particularly passionate about, I feel that the process was instrumental in teaching me how to conduct research and how to explain my findings in a way that is short, to the point, and readable. I urge all of you to first take a class with Amy Oakes if you haven't already, and to second, follow your academic passions. Again, thank you to Mr. Schatz and the Monitor for honoring me with these awards.
Terrific.
Maybe you can send me after the
Okay,
speech.
if we just take one picture.
Yep,
like this,
sorry.
we can just send that off.